making me a cup of tea, and then we'll get started. Thank you to everyone that's joined me tonight. I'll just give everyone a minute to get in. I've had lots of people asking how I'm doing. I'm doing all right. I hope you can see that I'm feeling a lot better in myself. I started a diabetic course last Monday, so this kind of teach you on your insulin and how to regulate it in good, safe food swaps and things like that. So I've been learning a lot all week. So if you've messaged me at any point, I haven't got back to you, I'm sorry, but I've just got a lot going on at home at the moment. Tomorrow, it was my wonderful husband's birthday. He'll be 65. Show me your face.
I'll be 52.
Yeah, so it's his birthday tomorrow. So we'll be celebrating that. We didn't go out for our normal recce, did we? But we're going out tomorrow night, me and Mark. We're off out tomorrow night. Just putting your headset on. So you have to wait now. Do you remember Mum's at work now? So you have to go away and wait. Go over there with Dad. I said, go. No, go over there with Dad. Mum's got to work now.
Right.
Because I'm in his chair, but he never sits on unless I sit in it. But unfortunately, but yeah, I can see Dave and Og and Kiz, Fonda, Jojo, Mike. Sorry if I've missed anyone out. Let me have a quick. There's Michelle, Flosky, Richard Vine. Just make sure I've got everybody. Yeah, I have. Right, we all settled and ready? Right, let me start. So, new things for this week first. I'll do that before we start on the Scottish stuff. I did an interview yesterday with a French gentleman for his cryptid channel that goes out in France. And he was asking me about the cases that we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks, the Moncton cases, the missing children cases, and asking about the correlation between areas with cryptids and areas with missing people. So one of the things that I was able to do on that was I have a report in Jura in France from 2018 from a lady called Evie Schwann. And there is also a report from Virgil Candile, and this was in, I think it was 2002, if I'm correct. And sitting around that area is the case where a dog brought home a human head. And I had to get the newspaper story translated so I could read it. Now, there are wolves in France, so you get a lot of reports of wolves and things like that. But what these people are reporting are what we would call a dog man. I don't like the name werewolf. I'm with Jojo on that one. I don't actually believe that you can get bit by a werewolf and you become a werewolf. It's not, doesn't work for me. But if that's your belief, you're entitled to it. So, do you remember the case where a lady was attacked by her own dog in France? At first it was reported that she'd been attacked by a pack of dogs, and unfortunately it was her own dog. It was a rescue, and some dogs come with issues that you don't know. You can have them a while and you just don't know. So that was unfortunate. So I didn't do any more work on that case. I didn't want to, talk about that case because it was her own dog and it's a very bad situation. She was actually pregnant at the time. But the case in England, Scotland really, that we're speaking about, with the lady that was found dead in the fields at Moncton, what I didn't realise was, and I'm really good at patterns, so I'm surprised that I didn't spot it, but I had to get some notes together to do the interview with this chap in France. And when I was doing the notes, I realised exactly the same month, she went missing on the 19th of December 2021. But there was a man that went missing in the same month, December of 2021. And those cases have never been put together. And they're in the same place. So Moncton, if you don't know it, there's a huge aerospace operation there. I think it used to be BA, I'm not sure. But RAF Goodwood, something like that. I always get the name of it wrong. But actually, I've got my map on. I can just pull it up, can't I, and look. Hey up, what's he barking at? It's either Goodrich or Goodwood. I'll get it in a second. You've got Prestwick Airport, British Aerospace, and BF Goodrich. That's what I was trying to look at. So these areas are brightly lit up. So you can imagine an airport on the edge of the coast in dark fields, it would be lit up substantially, wouldn't it? You'd be able to see it for miles around. And when this lady went missing, I'll give you, for anyone who don't know the case, I'll just give you a really quick rundown now. She was found, as I said, in December 2019, and she'd rang in because a car had broken down on Main Road, which basically runs between the airport and the base. So ideally, you think that's where she would have headed. There's also like a small town there. Some people call it a village. And it says, a woman was found dead in fields with her body mutilated after being killed by foxes in Scotland. The 55-year-old left her stranded vehicle after calling a recovery firm to fix it on Main Road in Prestwick. Police sniffer dogs found the Airdrie woman's body the next day. A local source said, I live about 4 miles away from Moncton, and I've been fascinated and really worried about this story. That poor woman who died in the field, for instance, she was barefoot and she was running through the fields and climbing over hedges and not knowing why. So we know that case and we know it's strange. And like I say, I didn't realise that there was an older gentleman who was 74 who'd gone missing in exactly the same area in the same month of the same year. Scotland issued an appeal in their investigation of missing local man, 74-year-old John Lorry, a local Prestwick man who has gone missing and was last seen on Saunturn Road, which is close to the aerospace base, in December of 2021. Now that's exactly where she was running from. Has he encountered the same thing? Because one of the questions I ask myself continuously as a woman, why did she leave that car? It was December. The car would have been warmer. She had a mobile on her. She was able to ring the AA. The car was not registered in her name, not registered to her, and her name has never been released. But I've been able to find out that she's from the Airdrie area, and that's as much as we've got on that at the moment. And there are 4 other people in Prestwick that are all outstanding missing. One was on October of 2022, so quite recently, Leomi McMillan. 16th of June 2022, Michelle Peacock went missing. 30th of January 2024, police launched an appeal to find Jordan Hopkins, 31, from the same area. So that's 4, I think it's 3 males and 2 females that have gone missing in that area, and then we're counting the lady that was found in the field. So that's 3 males and 3 females in a very small part of the Scottish coast. Now those figures to me are startling. I just think there's so much going on there. And off the back of that, other people have got in touch with me, and they've done that through email, through YouTube comments, and through the Facebook group, really, to give me as much information on that as they can. Now, I made a little note of it. One lady said to me, Debs, we were on a night drive with the kids going through Moncton, and an animal ran across the road that I could only describe as looking like a huge retriever. I didn't believe it was someone's pet. It was absolutely huge. I've never heard anyone else mention such an animal. And it was by the Powell Berm on Tar Bolton Road. Now, that's just north of the aerospace base. If that's any use to you, Deb. Another man said, you need to look at the Dundonald Castle area, and I'm going to tie that in a minute for you. There are stories of a ghost girl in that area, Deb, and the castle there, the road is called Yeti Road or Avenue, so I need to get me Google Earth out and check that one out. And then an old guy from Ayr who said he was a miner said that he'd seen a huge black animal on the Moncton roundabout between the 80s and the 90s. Now, the Moncton roundabout is very close to where her car was found. So we've got this cluster, haven't we? We've also got horse mutilation, sheep mutilation, cow mutilation, missing pets, and all of the things that we're starting to notice now when we see this pattern. I actually made a note of that 1 second. Now, in 1999, so before this happened, there was a young girl who worked at that base. And she said that it was most mornings she worked early. It's a massive base. So her boyfriend would drive her to the main gate, and her dad, who worked at the base, had come down, pick her up in the car and take her in. And this one morning, her dad didn't come down. He didn't wait for her, and he went straight in. So she had to walk it. And she said, that base is huge. And I was really annoyed about it, but I didn't have a choice. I had to walk, you know. And then she said, I started walking down the road, and I felt that just something wasn't right. It just didn't feel right in my gut. I got the feeling I was being watched. And then I heard this big crashing noise over to my right. I got such a fright, I stopped in my tracks. And then a few seconds later, I noticed a shape low down on the ground. I thought someone had fallen and gotten injured. And it looked like they were crawling out of the shed. So I took a step closer, and the shape made a weird noise. Not a human noise, but a growl. And I saw that it wasn't a person. It looked like a huge dog, as big as a Newfoundland. It took a few steps forward, and then it stopped. I remember looking around to see if anybody else was out there, but there was no one around. And when I looked back, literally a few seconds later, it was standing upright on two legs, and it was a lot closer to me than before. I never noticed any movement in the seconds that I'd moved away. And I was standing on stony ground, so I should have heard it. And it was looking right at me, and it growled again. I've never been so utterly terrified in my life, she said. It was standing slightly hunched, but must have been about 7 feet tall, as I'm only 5'3". And it was a total giant compared to me. It had really pointy ears on top of its head. It had dark fur and a massive frame with huge shoulders. Its eyes didn't glow yellow, but its face was like something out of the American Werewolf in London. How often do we hear that? She said, I saw that film when I was 9. I had nightmares for years. You know, the nightmares lasted a lot longer after seeing it for real. It had human-like arms, and they were long, hanging down at its side. And at the end of the arms was hands with claws. The body was massive, but it looked like it had a bit of a waist, which was weird. Oh, thank you, Elaine. That's really kind of you. How do I put a heart on that? Jojo usually does it. Thank you. I'm useless. When I'm reading, I just go into a zone, don't I, unfortunately. So she's had this experience in 1999. And then we know that there've been other experiences throughout. So when we're looking at the area, we're only looking about 2 miles. And that, for a cryptid, we need to look a lot further. We need to be looking at least in a 20-mile radius of what's going on and around. And I'm going to bring those cases into you now. So there was one more I want. Around the time that she saw the creature at the aerospace base, the police started to receive reports of a baboon-like creature being seen by people. And at first they were really sceptical. They were the typical police. But they sent officers out there and they saw it. Oh, I just nearly deleted it, then I clicked the wrong button. What's that? 4 police officers in Ayrshire made a statement after a string of sightings of a baboon-like creature. A patrol car sped to the scene and 2 of the officers spotted the animal, but it vanished into undergrowth when they got within 30 yards of it. A spokesperson for Strathclyde Police said, we received a call from a man who said he'd narrowly avoided hitting a baboon-like creature on Shaw Farm Road, Prestwick. A patrol car was sent out, and after a search of the area, the officer reported seeing the animal of some sort, although they couldn't be sure what it was. The senior police officer said the 2 policemen knew they weren't dealing with a farm animal. They thought about describing it as a large dog, but it moved like an ape, bounding over the ground. Another girl said that her horse, let me get it right, was it a horse? I don't think it was a horse. It was if I'm right, it was a cow one morning. Oh, it's further up, so I've just got to move up a bit. So if I just go north of those reports, not by much, just follow the coast road and go north, we come to the area where little Sandy Jardine went missing in the 70s, and that was a case I told you about last week. And right next to that is an account of a young girl who was camping 1994, and the tent was ripped apart. They couldn't do it. They had to stay at their friend's home. And she said, there's a girl in my class, came from a family of farmers, and their farm was just outside our village. I was talking to her about what she did over the summer, just the normal stuff, and she said that she didn't go to the local cattle show as her calf had been killed a few weeks back. I asked her what happened to it, and she said it had been attacked and its head was nearly ripped off. I was shocked, and I could see that she was really sad about it. So I said, it was probably a fox. And she said, don't be daft. A fox couldn't do something like that. Now, off the back of those reports, just give me 1 second while I skim through this chat. If you've got any questions for me, please put them in capitals or I will not be able to get them. I'm not seeing any at the moment, thankfully. Lots of happy birthdays to you, Mark. It's Jojo's daughter's birthday tomorrow as well, and her mum's. Isn't that strange, Joe? Jo was telling me earlier on that she's making a hotel for mice. What did we call it, Mike? A motel. A motel. Yeah, so people were asking could they see it. She's going to send me some pictures and I'll pop them up for you. So, we've only gone about, I can probably measure it, probably about 3 kilometres, 4 kilometres, and that's where we've got Stan Castle, Broomlands, that kind of area. Still on the coast, still hugging the coast, near Irvine, which many people pronounce as Irvine, as that's how it's spelled, but it's actually Irvine. And a woman contacted me and said, this event happened in October of 2023. I saw something a couple of months after moving back to Scotland. I mean, it was October 2023. The fingers and the length will scar my memory for life. The space between the eyes and the ears and the thing that I saw was bigger than anything I've ever seen before. There have been multiple reports where I'm from. And Moncton, where the woman was eaten by wildlife, was found, is only 15 minutes in the car from me. So we've only moved about a 15-minute journey. I'm still processing it all, but I had to get it off my chest. Now, I was contacted by a lady by CM, and I've not made this public. I've not done any work on it yet. I haven't sat down and spoken to her yet. So I can't give you the entire, but I'm going to give you the meat and potatoes, and I can fill the rest out, and I'll bring it to you in the future weeks. She said, I live in Irvine, and I'd started a night class in Kilmarnock College about 20 years ago now. On the return journey, it was quite dark because it was about 9:30 p.m. when I was on my way back. As I reached the roundabout, I saw something I'm finding really hard to describe. It was really strange and it was on the road. And as I knew deer frequented the area, I slowed down. I nearly died at what I saw. There was a massive carcass being dragged off the road. And it was way too big for the fawn deer that you see around here. It was more like a cow's carcass. I saw most of the spine and its ribs and the back pelvic bone, but no legs. The carcass had been stripped completely bare. Yes, there were the odd bit of meat on it, and it was red, like mature beef. Not brown, like anything. It wasn't decaying, anything like that. She said, I mean, they were devoid of meat by the odd wee tufts. Sorry, sweetheart, you can get on when Mum's finished. I thought, holy shit, yeah. I looked into the small, thin scattering of trees that line the road to see what was pulling in, really, I think. And I couldn't see anything at all. But as I approached it, the carcass had stopped moving. As it lay with its hind end a bit on the road, I had to take a wide berth, but I never even thought of stopping the car to move it. So she had to kind of drive around it to go away. About 200 yards along the road, there's a lay-by on my side, and I did stop and think, what the fuck did I just see? She even debated going back and putting the lights on it because she was weighing it up, really, if anybody else would hit it. And like she said, it had been dragged off the road at that point, and she felt she was in more danger getting out of the car. So she said, so I thought, I'm not getting out of the car. And I drove the rest of the way home, about 5-minute drive. I told my hubby about it and my friend the next day. And then I forgot about it, really. I never heard anything about what I had saw. And I thought maybe I never really saw it, so I just let it go. Could that be the answer to why the woman got out of the car? Because this lady saw something awful in the road and her instinct was to not leave that car. And that would be the same for most of us, I think. But what if? What if there was something lying in that road? And she got out thinking that was a child that had been hit, an old woman that had fell over. Something that would make you act without thinking. Something's in trouble. What if that's what's made her get out of that car? And what's been pulling it into the shrubbery? Now, a big cat can do that, and we've got to look at that realistically. There have been consistent panther reports in this area since the 1970s. A couple of them even go back to Victorian days, so even before the big release. But if you think about it, the Victorians were a bit of a bugger for having a fancy pet. And when it got a bit much, they'd release. They just release it, you know, because they were aristocracy. They were allowed to do that, weren't they, back then? So we have got a lot of displaced animals. So we could be looking at, let's say, cat. Let's go down the animal route first. We're looking at cat. I don't think anything else is big enough in the UK to get you out of your car and do what's disappear you, or, you know, vanish you, or whatever, other than a cryptid. And we'd have to look at serial killer, wouldn't we? And that is, none of these cases are showing the signs of that. There's nothing. There's no victim type. They're all different. So you've got missing males and missing females. Some of them have just left the home and they're walking the dog when they see something. The majority of them are driving those roads, and that's what I picked up on. Most of the people that are having experiences in this area are around that base, or they are driving that road. And we have to look at what goes on at that base. I don't know what they do at Goodrich. I don't know what they do at the aerospace base. I would imagine a lot of it's secret. It's also an airport, so it's got to have a heavy amount of security, hasn't it? So even if you don't believe in dogmen or cryptids or anything the like, you've still got to ask what happened to this woman. What happened to the gentleman who went missing the same month? Now, the only thing I can think I can do on that, and if you guys have got any ideas, I'd love to hear them, is just apply under the Freedom of Information Act. Because I've tried checking through all my normal sources, and as far as I'm aware, he's still outstandingly missing. There's nothing to say that he'd been found at any point. And I don't want to contact the family. I don't think that's a fair thing for me to do. But I can contact Freedom of Information. 9 times out of 10, I get a black redacted sheet. But it's got to be worth an arrow shot on it, you know. It's got to be worth it. Because even I hadn't put the 2 dates together. Worryingly, these accounts, the ones at Bempton, the ones at Cannock, and the other ones I'm finding on the east coast of Scotland are all kind of happening around this time of year. From October through to around January. We've got these clusters of missing people. I hope I'm not boring anyone. I'm just chattering on as I normally do. No, I can see everyone's having a natter in there. Leave them alone, let them do that. So I want to go a bit further afield, because that's what I do. When I get a report and I notice a pattern, I think, right, you've got to test your variables. That's the way it works, yeah? So you start looking further outside. I'll normally start within about a mile radius. And I'll look for cases of missing people, missing pets, you know, animal mutilation, cattle that are missing. And with some cattle, you can instantly say that's a poacher, yeah? But a poacher wouldn't leave it on the road and pull it in like that. It wouldn't happen. It all happens in dark and it's gone and it's sold by next morning. I mean, it's good meat, isn't it? Pin up. So let's go to the where the guy said you need to look at Dundonald Castle, Deb, because the road is the Yeti. I wish I could see your map at the moment. So around that area, we've got the case of Sandy Jardine, who went missing in 1976. He was playing with his sister at his grandma's house, and he just vanished. He vanished. Never been seen since. They've never been able to find him. And in that area, we have where the tent was torn to pieces. That account is there. Next to that, we have the Dundonald Red-Eyed Wildman, 1994 again. Let's see. Josephine Aldridge says she will never go up Dundonald Hill again. as long as she lives. She was at the castle with 2 Labrador dogs, and the dogs suddenly went berserk. They were acting really strange, running around in circles, growling and snapping at the air, before finally slinking to the ground as far as they could go. It's really hard for me to write somebody else's writing. Then Josephine saw what was scaring her dogs. Now, this was a huge creature. She actually reported this to the newspaper. She struggled to describe its appearance as it was some distance to the side of her. And she said she'd not noticed it before. And she's sure that if she'd seen it there earlier, she would most noticeably. And it did not seem to be solid flesh and blood, as Josephine could see through it. But it had longish charcoal grey coloured hair. In exactly the same place, a year before, we have a number of people who were shadowed and were growled at 1993 on Donald Hill. So we've got this cluster. It's not over yet. Give me a moment. This is exactly the same place where this lady's seen this huge carcass being dragged on the road. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've only looked at missing at the Sandy Jardine because I was looking at some child missing cases. It just popped up in my work, and that's what I was looking at. And I realised that Sandy had gone missing around the time that the Panther reports were being made and things like that. Now, it'd be incredibly rare for a large cat to take a small child. That is more than likely, in my opinion, Sandy was taken by a human being. And we can go into that in a couple of minutes when I finish doing these ones. I wasn't around last week, unfortunately, so we're trying to catch up on about 2 or 3 cases. But if I don't get it all covered in this one, I'll do another live next week and we'll cover it in that. And we can just keep going further north if we wanted to. Just keep following that coastline, either north or south, and you will continue to run in to other reports. You can go inland. You've got the Kirkconnell face at the window. It's just... there are a mass... Vinny asked me earlier if there were any wildman cases in Scotland. And from the east coast to the west coast, there are definitely cases. Earliest being 650 AD, latest being 2 years ago. COVID, there was a number of reports during COVID, the pandemic time, that 2-year period there, people reporting them in Scotland. And I've had a case come in. I haven't done anything on it. It's still in email. But for the first time ever, I'm going to read it out on a live stream as I get it, and you get it at the same time as me. I'm not going to give his name out because I haven't asked his permission yet. Yeah, I can't do that. But we've just been talking about Dundonald. So I will ask him if it's okay for me to give his name. This is the first time I've read it. I've only seen you know, you get that little strip at the top of your email. Hi, Deb. I grew up in Dundonald area of Scotland. I wandered those fields and hills and swamps and lochs for the best part of my childhood and youth to adult. I'm in my 60s now. I've always had my BSA air rifle by my side and my dog, a small whippet lurcher, sandy brindle in colour, and we'd walk for miles. This was my escape from reality. Like our Leroy, innit, Mark, with you? The hours Mark used to walk with that dog. In July of 1981, I was 17 years old. As the summer months crept by, it was so warm, I decided to go to Martnam. I've completely got that wrong, I know that. Martnaham. Because of my Earlham syndrome, I will have to look up how you say that. It's a loch. He said I went to catch a few pike and perch. I used to love doing that with my dad. It was 3:30 in the morning, and as I sat down at the water's edge in one of the weeded bays, I caught sight of a hairy black man drinking from the water's edge. I stood up and I shouted across to him, "Are you mad, drinking that water?" He didn't look at me, but he clearly heard me. I watched this hairy man stand up. He was all somewhere between 7 and 9 feet. He was that big at least. He turned and was gone. And he'd been up to his waist in the water and reeds. I've never told anyone of this, as ridicule would have been unbearable in that village. It's not a nice place to grow up in at all. As the years went by, I spread my wings. I travelled a few places here and there. I always came home to Ayrshire. Never talking of this and mentioning it to anyone. Just a few close friends, really, who'd laughed. Until Tam said it to me out of the blue. What the hell was walking along the edge of that lock that he had seen years later? And I wasn't the only one to have seen this man. He'd seen him while fishing there in '93, the hairy man. We had a great chat about that hairy man, which led me to you and BBR. 2022, I'm on my way home from the Isle of Skye in March. I drove along Uphill Road on the east back of the lock line, looking out the car window across the lock. I spotted a huge orangey brown thing on the other side. Sorry, 1 second. An orangey brown thing on the other side. I slammed on the brakes. I got out of the car only to see this thing rapidly go up the mountainside and disappear into the trees. It was huge, as the distance is about 3/4 of a mile or less. I fumbled for binoculars and never got this hairy man in my vision. Gone, like before. But years later, in a vast mountainside, miles from where I'd seen this first kind of thing. I won't call it Bigfoot, as glimpses are not facts. But I know I've seen something that wasn't like us. And that's it. That's what we get. There's more in it, but I'll speak about that at another time when I've had a chance to go through it. One of the problems I have with Earlone syndrome is I can do my own. I have to change the colour of the background. I see the lines that run through the letters before I see the letters, so I have to train my brain in. So when it's a brand new email like that, it can be a bit hard for me. It makes me a bit... It just is. It's always been like that for me. So what I have to do is, that's why I don't answer my emails all at once. I have to do one at a time and do it correctly, or they just all mingle into one for me eventually. But yeah, so I'm going to look up that lock. Let's put that in the map and see how close that gets us. Because this is what I'd normally do anyway when I was working a sighting. We put the name of where he's had his experience in. We got it there. And let's see what's the nearest case to that lock. So we're in Swanbother area. 1 second. And that sits between an injured horse that was found attacked by a puma. Another big cat report. Big cat spotted in Ayrshire. It was not a panther. A number of the public spotted the beast in fields and said it was more canine in Drongan and Coal Hall in East Ayrshire. 1 sec. There's quite a number of them. Just working my way through them. Which one are you? 8 sheep killed with the faces ripped off. And some strange bones that were found on the 4th of the 4th, 2020. So a lot of what he's seen hasn't been a big cat, has it? But it tells me that if there are cats surviving in that area that have survived there for decades, there is plenty of protein sources. Yeah? And if you put yourself in the head of a wild man, if you were wanting food, you would be between the coast and the inland, because you get to, you get all these extra food sources on the coast. You've got, what comes out of the sea, all of the seaweed, all of the shellfish, the whole 9 yards. And you would use that coastal route and move up and down, as did early humans, back in the day. So that's the Scottish lot. So if everyone's all right with that, I'm going to take a stop there. Dark Angel Deb has said, thanks, Deb, I'd love to camp around there. If I could do a camp, and people keep asking me to do a camp, it's so hard for me at the moment. But if I can, I would like to go down close to Jojo. So anywhere near where I could get down Southampton way. I'd like to do Yorkshire again. But we've done Yorkshire before, so I think it's fair that we do Scotland, Wales and Ireland next. I think that's what we should do. So I'm going to really try and get that on board. I want to go back to Ireland anyway. But yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do a camp over, I think. Ireland, as I say, Scotland and Wales. I think we should do that. And then people can come out whether they want to or not, and I'll just be there on my holidays having a nice time kind of thing. But you get what I mean? It's a lot of work goes into a meet. I don't think people realise how much work goes into it. I can't do the the journey at the moment. I can do about an hour now. We have a 45-minute and I'll stop and have a break. And I'm getting there and I'm getting much better. So hopefully that's back on the cards again. I did an interview I meant to tell you about with a lovely lady called Claire. And it was about fairies. And we talked about fairies and then we went into the case of Fred. And so that's just been dropped on her channel. I've shared it with the members today. And in a couple of days' time, I'll make it public so everybody else can have a read of it. Have a watch of it, a listen. It's quite a good one, and it's got Fred's interview at the end as well. It was really nice. It was quite a personal thing, and we're on like just a year and a couple of weeks since Fred passed. If you're out there, Glasser, no doubt you'll be listening. But it was nice to do it in his memory kind of thing. I really enjoyed doing that. Try and get notifications coming in left, right, and centre. Right, so let me have a scan for questions. So Vinny's saying there's reports of a little humanoid creature running through the hedgerows near a lake in Burton-on-Water, Gloucestershire. Let me put that in. Would that be on the 7th? Yeah, I've got 2 big cat reports there, Vinny. 1 second. Dog walker sees a large cat close to home, November 18. Gwendolyn Hewitt was looking after 2 dogs for a friend who lives in Burton-on-the-Water when she saw the beast. The sighting took place towards the end of 2018, but the revelation comes after an increase in big cat sightings since the lockdown. And just to the side of it is a chap called Steve and Jeanette Adams were holidaying in a caravan park near Burton-on-the-Water when they reportedly came across the creature. Although he forgets the name of the caravan park, 54-year-old Steve said the caravan park they were staying in was 4 miles outside the village. He said that on the Friday night, October the 23rd, 2020, he and his wife Jeanette definitely saw a big cat around 5:30 to 6 p.m. in the evening. I mean, it's Gloucestershire. Yeah, the amount of cat reports down there is just... Mike Wright, who is one of our regulars and a BBR researcher and investigator in his own right, had an experience in Cinderford Forest, and that's one of the places we were looking at earlier, wasn't it? And around that estuary between Newport and Portishead, so if you follow the U shape, it's big cat after big cat after big cat after big cat. The area is ideal for them. Yeah, you've got all of that countryside, you've got your rocky bit. Is it Abergavenny? If you go over that way, you've got all, your mountainsides and everything. And from Barry, say all the way up to Gloucestershire, and then back down to Portishead, Worston-super-Mare, there's a load of dogman reports. And the most recent case of a woman missing, then found dead with a mystery car, happened 3 weeks ago in that area. Let me just pull it up. Should be Forest of Dean. There's that many reports for the Forest of Dean. I have to plough through them all till I find it. In a sec. Oh, that's her there at the bottom. She sits between 2 dogman reports, the area where she's gone missing. I just want to make it bigger so I can give you some town names. One day I'm going to find a way of putting this map on an app, a free app, so anyone can use it and just pull it up whenever they want. Now, I wanted to touch on this one because, like I said, it was the 4th of January 2025 and the woman was reported missing on the 3rd of January. So just like the Monkton case, the day before she was reported missing, the next day they find her dead in the fields near the car. She was 67, her name was Michelle, and she lived in Elwood. And she left around dinner time, 11:45 on a Friday morning in her white Ford Fiesta. Now, right next to that, in exactly the same place, we have an account of a drawn-out, consistent, raging shout and a dark silhouette. And I remember this. It was a guy who was working on somebody's land. And he said, I camped in the Forest of Dean at a place just outside Bream. I was walking about 1 a.m. with what I can only describe as the loudest, most typical Bigfoot howl ever. From waking up to the shout probably was 4 are the loudest howls I've ever heard. I have goosebumps even just writing this. By the time I got my senses together and found my phone to record it, it stopped. He said, I was on my friend's land, and he just said, oh, it'll be a fox. He's like, but it was nothing like a fox. That shout was loud. It echoed through the forest. I estimate it to be no more than a quarter of a mile away from us at the most. I slept indoors the next night, no joke. But that's right next to where this lady's gone missing in January from a car. It's quite worrying, isn't it, that? And then you've got the moose, pig, bear monster, as they call it down there. But the River Severn is home to so many reports, not just the River Severn itself, obviously the areas that run alongside it, like Brocklands and places like that, Cinderford. Dean Heritage Centre's got a Dogman report right on it. People make reports down there all the time. And I don't think it's until you see them all, like on the map or in a podcast where you hear them all together. But even then, I'm only touching on a couple of reports from the area. If you actually access the map, it's a lot easier to see them. But the more reports go on, the harder it gets for people to access it. So if you're out there and you can make an app, because I have no idea how you do that, I'm more than happy to put the work in, because I don't mind a bit of hard graft. But I don't know how to get my map off of Google and onto an app. But I think that'd be really handy for people. They could just pop the town name in and where they wanted, and it'd pull it up, and I could update it in real time with new site reports as they come in. I can put them on there, put the cases on there and all that kind of thing. The closest I've got to that at the moment is my Patreon, and people are terrified of Patreon, aren't they, because they have to pay. But honestly, if I put something out on Patreon for me members, I'll normally put it out within that week for free. So if you don't want to pay the pound to be my patron, that's fine. Just wait a couple of days and you'll get it for free, like the YouTube guys do. This year I want to do a lot more for the members. I've not been able to do that, but I think they understand them, the caseload. I'm not like other YouTubers. I can't be on every day. And I'd like to do, so Facebook Lives, we've not done that for a while. So I wouldn't mind doing a couple of them over the summer as we go. Crocuses are up. Lambs are in shed. This is my favourite time of year, when the lambs go in the shed. And if I get a chance, I'll show you newborns when they come out, if we can get near them. But I love this time of year. It comes back to life again, doesn't it, the world? It just comes back to life. So we were driving the other day, me and Mark, and I said to him, crocuses are up, that's it, it's officially spring. So we had a big old spring clean in the house, we went through the house. But things are going really well for us at the minute. We're doing well. It is on, you get my dates right, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, we've been together, officially, 20 years. Yep. Yeah, 20 years. And I say officially because we were friends, weren't we, before we were together. Yeah, we were friends, and like my kids had been through a lot with the breakup and that, and Mark's a proper gentleman, innit? And he didn't want to come into the kids' life and upset them or anything like that. So we kept it quiet for about 2 years before that. So we have been there longer. But it's really strange because when we met, it was my youngest and your sister's youngest at school. I mean, we've known each other for years, don't get me wrong, but I'd gone off and married, and Mark had his own relationships, and then we bumped into each other again when we were walking the kids back to school, and we started doing that, didn't we? So from then on, we just got really, really close, but we didn't tell anyone because we didn't want to jinx it. We didn't, did we? Neither of us wanted to jinx it. None of us were looking for a relationship. We weren't planning on any of those things. But it did, and then it was like 2 years later we made it official. We told people we were officially a couple. So it's our anniversary for that. So with it being his birthday, I think we're going to take off tomorrow and go do something ourselves, just have a couples weekend or something. But I really want to go take him back to Ireland. I want to go back to Ireland. I want to show him where I was when I was a kid in Ireland, because I talk about it all the time. I talk to my mum about it all the time. My mum does. And my mum's only regret is that she's never been back, because that's where her family are from on her dad's side. So I really want to take him. I want to go back, because there's a couple of villages in Ireland which are really strange. Like 15 granddads ago, his family lived in that village and my family lived in that village. So it's really weird, isn't it, the synchronicity that we got together all those years later. But yeah, it's a strange one. So I did see a question there. Deb, a question from my daughter. When does a soul enter the body? from that, I've got to say what just came into my head from the moment you made. So when Amber was that much in love that she made your beautiful little granddaughter, then your beautiful little granddaughter decided that she wanted to be that child, and that's why she was born. And that's why, and I'm telling you now, Amber, when that child starts to talk, you will say, she's been here before. Because she has, yeah. We choose where we go. It's a hard subject for me because it's the time of the year that I don't like to talk about loss. I just don't. I can't do it at this time of year. But I honestly believe that when we pass over and we go back to source, that we choose what we want to be when we come back. I must have chose to be Deborah. Don't know why, but I must have. But I must have done, mustn't I? Yeah, and I must have chose to be my parents' child. I don't know. That's just a great thing that I believe. I've never been asked that question before. I would love to know what the people think. When do you think that, you know, your soul... Isn't that a strange thing? HB might know this one. Isn't there a case where when they weigh you after death, you actually weigh less? And it's a certain amount, is it? It's always the same on every single person. But like, I've seen some things in my life that I know that there is an afterlife. It's not something I guess or something I fear. I know there is. I just know there is. And I'm not scared of dying. I'm just scared of the way I'm going to die. Yeah, like most of us. But I just think we're energy beings. And for me, when that connection's made and you're made, that's when you become you. So you're carried in your mother's womb and then you're birthed. And you go through life and you pass away and the circle starts again, you know. It's a big circle, isn't it? You know. Og said, when my son was little, he said, I'm glad I chose you to be my mum. That's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Og, do you like yellow roses? Just a question I've just been asked to ask you. Do you like yellow roses? I have a young chap with me who said that to me. Do you like yellow roses? Maybe you're going to get a bunch of yellow roses. I'm not sure. Let me have a look. I'm just going to go back and make sure I've not missed anything. Kizzy said, me and Ruby Red have been together for 28 years and I'm only 48. I know Ruby Red and you're a very lucky man, Kiz. A very lucky man, yeah. Vinny said it in a very pronounced way during a climax when you come together as lovers was how I was trying to think about it. I didn't have the words to put together there. My parents are young when I was born. They were only teenagers. They were young teenagers as well, you know. And the love that them two had for each other. My mum and dad were together 50 odd year when my dad passed away. And I've never seen love like it, I've got to be honest. And I am incredibly lucky that I have that myself with my incredibly lucky. Because it doesn't happen for everybody, I do know that. I'm very appreciative of it. And believe me, I've earned my stripes. My dad once said to me, Debbie, if picking a man was like picking a trolley, you'd get one with a wonky wheel. And I thought, he's right, you know, when I was in my 30s, before I met Mark. But yeah, love's a strange thing. You have to go through it, don't you? You've got to live it to know what the best bit is. So, let me look, we're only on 9:30. Right. I just see, Vinny said I don't mind being crude. I'm fine with things like that. It's just hard, isn't it, with YouTube? You never know what to say or anything. And some people are like, well, you can't talk about that on my live. Or you can't talk about this on my live. I don't mind what you talk about on the live. And I don't even mind if you turn the sound off and just chat to people in the chat. I'm absolutely fine with that. Because I look forward to Saturdays in the same way you guys do, you know. I'm stuck doing BBR work all the time in a week. I don't really get time to catch up with people and stuff like that. But yeah, I've promised myself I'll try and get out again this year. I've come from a situation, I don't know, where I had a bad crowd with me and that's just put me off, thinking, oh, I'm not going to put myself through that again, but I can't keep doing that, you know. The people I've got around me are absolutely wonderful. And I get asked all the time, Deb, can you come here? And Deb, can you come there? I've had a couple of TV jobs offered and I don't know, I've knocked them back. I don't want to do them, and probably people will say I'm a bit mad for that, but it's not for me. I've had me fill of that. Jojo knows what I go through with all. TV stuff, and they want to change your hair, they want to change your age, they want to change your face, they want to change everything about you, and it just waters down what you're about. And like, had my fill of arguing with producers, and there's a lot of young folk who can do that. I don't want to do it anymore. Just if it's a certain case, I'll talk to a TV company about it. But other than that, I've had my fill of TV. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm doing a conference at some point this year in Buxton, but that might be the only one I do. I just don't enjoy it. I don't get from it what I do doing this and doing the YouTube stuff. I really love doing that. I love taking the reports. I love helping the witnesses, and I love doing this bit. So I'm just going to concentrate on doing that because it's what I like to do. Do you know what I mean? It's what I enjoy doing. So that takes us over to your episode on Bempton. Now we do Cannock and Bempton. The reason I looked at Cannock and Bempton is I'd only done work on the Moncton Ayrshire area when it had come to missing people. Over the years, I know about missing person cases. I can't say I've worked on them. So like Tommy Jones, you know, Mary Boyle, those kind of cases. I knew of them, but I hadn't worked them or anything like that. But I was interested in them and I wanted to do some research into them. And I've never actually plotted them on a map. I've always put them on a different map. I've kept the missing people very, very separate to what I do at BBR. But I notice the pattern, obviously, when I'm working them, and I think, oh, that's strange. So the Moncton case kind of brought that together for me. So I thought, well, I've got to be consistent on it. I need to go and look at other areas now where we've got a hot spot of cases and see if we can pull up those similar missing. So unexplained deaths where the police have said, we found a body, we cannot explain it, we're not giving you that person's name, we're not giving you any of the details, it's not in the public interest. That's dodgy as it is. But when it's that dodgy that it's in a car park where 2 other dogman reports have been made, I'm just putting it in now, Camp Lane at Cannock's, Brockton area, Camp Lane. And you've got this little small Anson's car park. You can drive to it. If anyone wants to go and have a look at it for me and do the work, I would be more than happy for you to do that. Cannock is not for me. So, just off Camp Lane runs down till you hit Broadhurst. So, you're kind of passing the German cemetery. And you've got reports on either side of it. And if anyone wants to see this, just hit me up and I'll send you the screen grabs over so you can have a look at them. So, we got the little car park area. So, this man has been found dead, right? The body of a man's been found at Cannock on July 2016. The death of the 67-year-old, who has not been named, was found in woodland at Brockton. His death is being treated as unexplained by Staffordshire Police. Now, that's unusual. It's very rare that they will say that. It's normally, it's in the hands of the coroner, or they'll update you at a further date. It's quite rare for him to say the death was unexplained. A member of the public raised the alarm after finding his remains near the Anson's car park, which is on Camp Road. It's not clear how he made his way to the area or whether he used his own car or public transport. So I don't know. But it was a newspaper report, nothing to do with me. It had gone into the newspapers. So I thought, right, I'm going to have a look. How many dogman reports are in, let's say, a mile? Is that too big? Let's say half a mile. Half a mile's not that bad. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 dogman reports within half a mile of that car park. Now, what I'll do in the coming months is do a much deeper dive and see what I can find out on that case and see if there are any cases of missing people that haven't been reported in the newspapers, because there's lots of databases I can hit to do that, and that's what I do. There are a lot of missing people databases. And majority of the time, they don't make the newspapers. It's really unfortunate that, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. If there's a news story at the time that's running nationally, that will go in the newspaper before a local missing person. And it's only when it's something like Moncton, where there's a strange anomaly, an unexplained death, that it's then mentioned. I'll read that out in a minute, Joe. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, do you remember when I said to you between October and February we have these weird reports? On that road, there's a guy that I actually spoke to him on telephone. He rang me. He was driving. It was his job, a bit like Dave. So he's driving down the M6, does it all the time, and you M6 mark and diversions. It's our most hated road. We hate the M6. We refuse to go to Birmingham because of it. Same thing, diversion. So he's got to go past Dalrady Castle. As he's getting past the Camp Road area, coming along Cannock Chase Military Defence, where the German cemetery is there, you have a roundabout called Dalrady Castle. And as he pulls there, about 1 o'clock in the morning, there's a crowd of deer outside looking off into the woods. And they wouldn't move, so the traffic was backing up. So in the end, the cars had to go around them. And as he was going round them, he looked off into the thing, and he said he saw what he thought at first was too reflective, something red and reflective on a tree. He tried to go back the next day on his own journey, and he couldn't do it. He said there was this overwhelming feeling of like, oh God, he couldn't do it. But he did manage to do it at a later date. He went in, and he said what he thought was this big tall tree with 2 reflectors on it wasn't there. It wasn't there in the place. So GPE, if you're into your British Bigfooters, GPE has his own channel. He actually went and did the case for me. He went down there. He went to the area where this tree would have been, and he did find a big footprint. And I've got a photo of that footprint, luckily. He was very clever. He videoed it for me. So there is something moving around. When we looked at the area, there's nothing really that would stop you, say, like the deer taking off. Do you get what I mean? There's a lot of scrubland and stuff like that. So why don't they just take off? Because herd animals don't run under threat. Well, they do run. What I'm trying to say is if they've got something between them and they're watching, they'll be on point like a dog is. And the minute they need to run, they'll all go together and they'll run. So something must have been keeping them on that spot. And I have heard of that before. And Mike Wright brought it up for me. He messaged me in the week and said, Deb, I've noticed over time there's some experiences where the deer are standing out on the roads now in the Forest of Dean. And the Forest of Dean is the area we've been talking about with the recent case of the missing lady in January of this year. What's making those deer change their behaviour? You know, I don't know. But as I say, if you're interested in any of these cases and you just want to read them, let me know. Because what I do is, when the cases have come in and I've got them, I put them on the map. I might pop them in the Facebook group, or if they're brand new, I'll put them in Patreon or something like that so people can read them. But when I'm doing I did tonight, like the premiere, I need to know what cases I'm doing, so I write them down, and it's kind of like a script. And sometimes I go off script, so I've just got like bullet points that I need to pick up. And sometimes I have to stay dead on script. I mean, it's a lot of information. Like tonight, I've got to write it all down. I'd never remember the dates, the times, any of that. And I leave bullet points for myself. I call them my script. So they'll end up 20 pages long in a big PDF. So I just pop them onto Patreon. They're on there. So if anyone's interested in any of them, just let me know. Or just pop along and join me Patreon. And I'm going to start putting them out, I think, giving people the links to them on YouTube so you can go and read them if you want. So I'll start popping them in the descriptions and things like that. But it's one way of me getting everything together. And if I didn't, I wouldn't notice these anomalies. I wouldn't be able to sit here with you now and say, right, that body was found in Camp Lane. We've got, 6, 7 dogman reports around Camp Lane. It's a thick part of the chase. The cemeteries there, the German cemetery. We know about dogmen around cemeteries and burial mounds and places like that. And we've had consistent reports coming in from that area over time, going to me, the newspapers, other researchers. And that's just the same as Bempton, isn't it? So I'm going to check on to Bempton now. I don't want to keep you all too long. I think they must be sick of hearing me by now. Right. Before I start this, I've got to say, Bempton Cliffs is an area where people unalive themselves, as are many of these areas. And some of the cases that I'm working on could possibly be that. One of the cases that really interested me, and still is, and I need to do so much more digging into this, is this case of Russell Bowling. and it interests me for several reasons. I was able to find out that the base had been concreted over to stop people getting in before he went missing. And if you don't know the case of it, it's basically what happened is he was, on the 2nd of March 2010, he told his parents that he was going to college, and his college was in Beverley. And they were able to see, because obviously when you go missing, they go through your devices and everything. And they were able to see that he logged on to the RAF Bempton website at 7:30 in the morning. And he said, his father said that he'd had a real interest in the erotic and satanic artwork that had been left on the bunker walls by a cult in the 1970s, well after the bunker had been closed. Russell had kept some information on the drawings on a USB stick, which did not match the images on his computer or those they found at college. That USB stick was not found. So basically, he's had photographs that he's shown to his father on a USB stick that's gone. And those photographs were not the ones that are online from the base, and they were not the ones that they found on his computer at college. How did he get them? Who sent them to him? Did he stumble on them himself? And how's he got into the base? Because a year after the searches, his parents had to pay out of their own pocket £1,200 to take the concrete capping off so they could see if his body was in there. Now, Mark said to me, Mark never interferes in me cases, but he said to me, Deb, he could have been doing an urban explore. He could have not been able to get into the base because you can actually go over the cliff edge and in. And I said to Mark, you're right, I've got to take that into comparison. But it's these strange images to me. We've got an RAF base where people are consistently reporting 7 foot tall, yellow-eyed, dogman-like creatures. Paul Sinclair gets the reports, I get the reports, they go to the newspapers. There are a lot of independent researchers out there that got cases in and around Bempton Crisp, that's how hungry I am, Bempton Cliffs. I was trying to think of the name of Flamborough Head, because Flamborough Head's just a little bit down the coast, and probably less than, half a mile. And there's another missing chap, a guy called John Deacon. And I don't know enough about him to go into the case, but the details I have. John Deacon was last seen in Sheffield on November the 4th, 2004. So for me, if he's been seen in Sheffield and they found him, the 53-year-old disappeared after setting off to walk the coastal path from Flamborough Head. Despite police and Coast Guard searches, there's been no trace of him. That's confusing. Why would they say he was last seen in Sheffield? I don't know. So I don't know enough about the case to go into it. It's only 5 lines in this on the missing person thing, but I'll have a look. And that was right next to an area where someone had seen 2 orange eyes watching them. You've got an ex-police officer who's camping at Wold Farm with his partner, and he sees what he described as 2 hyena-like creatures. Let me get the dates for you. Oh, Deborah, why have you not wrote that down there? 2021. Year after, Emma, good friend of mine, Emma, we've known each other a long time. She's into cryptids as well. She was with her girlfriend, Sarah, and they saw 3 creatures in a pack moving in a very strange way. Very heavy on the bottom half, tails up, arse end up, as I'd say, but arse end up. And that's what the copper and his wife said. She said that it was hyena-like in the sense that it had this huge muscular front and it was high up in the end. Emma tried to film them, and she only had a basic phone. She's trying to film in IR at night to get them. You can see movement, but it is not clear enough for us to say what they are. They don't move like day. You can see them crossing the terrain, and both the police officer and Emma went back following days to look at the area and the terrain in daylight. She said they could not have been cows, they were not sheep, there was nothing out there on that land that they could have mistaken for what they saw. She's very similar with deer, as is the police officer, believe me. So for anyone said, oh, it's just deer and yellow, it's not. Deer have eyes on the side. These are eyes at the front. It's very different. Prey animals are very different to human beings. Whatever is being seen out there has forward-facing eyes. And I do remember one investigator who said it moved like that to the side, and I've heard that before with other cryptids. Glassy will tell you that. He saw that down in the south, the cryptid that moved to the side and just stood as if to say, I can't see you and you can't see me. Like, you know, that kind of thing going on. So what I'll do, as I say, over the next few months, I'll do some more looking. I need to pull other areas. We need to be looking. I'll get at Wales, Ireland, we'll go down south, we'll go here, we'll just random. Pick some areas out with clusters and we'll look at missing people cases around that and we'll have a bit of a natter. If you've got cases out there and you want to send them to me, please do a Google and see if there's any update on it. I get sent a lot, and normally when I go on and have a look, they've turned up. I got one the other day and the lad had been turned up 6 days before I got the report. So it just saves me a lot of time. And you will see reports in your newspapers that I'm not privy to, because we forget about the regional news and regional newspapers, even online. If you're, say, go to Gloucester online, or you go to Manchester online, or you go to Leeds online, you're getting regional stories that might not hit the headlines. How do I know this? Because I do a lot of work in media, and some work that I do that people don't know about. You've all heard of paedophile hunters. There are occasions when I help them out with information. I don't do stings or anything like that, but I do share reports that I'm privy to that don't make it into the national newspapers. So people who have been up in court for that crime particularly, or get a community sentence or time for that, I have access to that database and I can share that information with people, and I do that quite often. It's what I do when I'm not doing BBR, because people will say to me, do you want to watch this vid, Deb, about a dogman? And I say, no, I don't. I've been doing dogman work all week. No, I don't. I will go and lock myself away and I'll do some work like that. So I'll be like, right, what have you got for me? Who do you need tracking? You know, what do you want? And I can say to him, look, he's moved. He's come out of that bail hostel. He's gone there now. And then that's my bit. That's what I do. But it gives me access to certain databases where I can check for missing people. I have the odd copper that's a witness that doesn't mind supplying me with information every now and again. Yeah, I know the odd person, because you do when you network, don't you? And you do this thing. So I kind of flip between the two. It's not something I really talk about, to be honest. It's something I do private. It's a private thing that I do. But I don't like predators of any shape or form. And so it's the same thing, I suppose. I'm just hunting monsters in a different way, aren't I? But yeah, so that's where we're up to. Let's see what you've all been talking about. Joe's mice, no doubt. Oh, Ogspot, we're not sick of hearing you, we wouldn't be here. You never know though, Og, do you? You never know when you've had your time, when you're like, people are right, shut up now, Deb. No, I really look forward to it. I'm going to go in a minute because I need to take my pain meds. I've not had them yet. I'm going to have a drink. I need recipes, ladies. I'm on a high protein, low carb diet, and I'm on it for the next 4 weeks. Doctors don't want me to lose any weight because obviously I have the muscle issues, don't I? So they want to keep the weight on me and turn it into muscle. So that's what we're doing at the minute. So I've had no cake. I've had no biscuits. I've had no sweet treats. I've had nothing. I've been so good, and I'm going to be good for the next 3 weeks. But there has got to be some healthy recipes out there that I could use if I'm just like, if I don't have a biscuit, I am going to kill one of my neighbours. Yeah, so I need a go-to. I've had a couple of brownie recipes, Jojo, that are yogurt. I'm trying to think, yogurt, banana, and something else. And I thought, oh, I'll give them a try. I'll see if I can knock some brownies up with them. But yeah, if you've got any recipes that are like, even if guys will have them, people really eat healthy these days, don't they? And I don't, so I don't really know a whole lot about healthy stuff. But but honestly, I feel fitter than I felt in such a long time. So I'm back on Monday. I'm going back on Monday, my second week of the course. Because what happened with me, I went into hospital in a diabetic coma. So it wasn't like one day I went to the doctors and they were like, right, Deborah, I think you're diabetic. I was 1 minute I was okay and the next minute I wasn't. And when I came round in the hospital, they put me on insulin. And then that clearly worked over the 24 hours. I absolutely terrified my husband, and I promised him that I will never do that to him again because I could see how frightened he was. And I frightened myself and all. And they just said to me I'd had this undisclosed, it's a rare form of diabetes, LADA it's called. And I think I've got it. I feel miles better. Matches all the symptoms that Dad had. So everything I've learnt with Dad, they now do completely differently. So back then, you were told to eat your carbs. And that's what I've been doing. I've been eating my carbs. And she said to me, we need you to do that to get some meat on your bones. Because I'd gone right down to a size 7, 6, 7, something like that, which is not me. And once we get like a bit of meat on me, like I've got now, we can do physio and turn that into muscle. So that's where I am at the minute. So lots of protein to build that muscle up. And I should be fitter than I've ever been, and I'll be able to start the meets up again, and I'll be able to come out and meet you guys and things like that, do all the exciting stuff that I want to do, because now I'm semi-retired, so I don't work half as much as I used to work. Do I, Mark?
No.
I'm just semi-retired. So somebody asked me the other day how old I was, and I said I'm 57. In 3 years' time, I'm 60. I'm ready for a little bit of back. I've been kicking doors in and running around trying to scream at people for God knows how many years about what's going on, and people are onto it now. You guys are onto it. Everybody's onto it. It's time for me to step back a little bit. George is telling me to eat nuts. Mark, will you just pass us me tub? My red tub.
Yeah.
Oh, are you on your game? It don't matter. It's all right. It don't matter. I've really upset us, Zane. Joel, watch this. Let me show you my tub. So he comes in the kitchen the other day, and that's on the side, right? And what I did was, when I came off from hospital, I emptied the house of anything sweet. So when the kids come, I buy things for the kids that they will eat there and then. And if they don't eat it, they take it home with them. But I've got into nuts, Joe. So this is my tub. Obviously, nuts are dead expensive, aren't they? So I go out Aldi, grab them bags, and I just chuck them in there like that. So I was thinking if I could find an healthy biscuit recipe, and I can eat them with my walnuts and my sultana, and I'll do that. His little face, when he realised it wasn't full of celebrations. And he was like, Nana, why have you got that rabbit food in that tub? And I was like, that's mine, Zane, that's all I'm allowed. But no, I've been having, when I have my porridge, I put an handful of that in. I've got some light rice pudding that I really like. So I'll chuck some of them in it. But I'm just thinking summer's coming, in it, so it's going to be... I can eat a lot more fruit and yoghurt and things like that when it's warm. You don't want hot puddings and stuff like that. But I just want to get well. Homemade shepherd's pie. Well, today... What did we have today? I thought it was Sunday. Completely mixed my days up. Thought it was Sunday. So I said to Mark, should we just have cheese on toast and some soup for tea? And he was like, yeah. I'm like there in my pyjamas. He's on the other side, and I said to him, oh, I love Sundays. I said, all we do on a Sunday is just eat comfort food and I have a day off. And he said to me, Deb, it's Saturday. And I went, oh shit, I've got work tonight. I get changed. But that's how chilled I was. I thought it was actually Sunday. Let me move if you want to get in for a minute. All right, one sec, just wait a minute, I've got to move my thing. Right. Come on, up. Alright. Have you seen the size of him? My lap dog. Look that way. Look at your dad. You have to watch him in the kit women or he knocks it over. So that's Roy telling me it's time for me to go into bed. Nuts and porridge, I'll be on the loo all day. I bet you got put insulin in you. Man, he's a good boy, but it's not the right time, is it? Yeah? It's because of Joe. But yeah, if anyone wants to send me any recipes, get them sent to me. Send them me on Facebook or whatever, I'll give them a go. I'll try anything. And I used to be a cook, so I'm not scared of cooking and stuff. I've had to start making my own curries again and my own pasta sauces, because you don't realise, do you, how much sugars and carbs in them until you actually start looking. Yeah, he's a good boy. Mark's giving him a treat, so he'll chill a bit. He's a good boy. Oh! Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Where?
He don't want it. He dropped his treat in his water bowl, so now he don't want it. He has a cheese thing, so he has his own cheese in the fridge. And the other week I was out, I didn't have any. But as soon as we come in the door, when we leave him in the house, he's dead good. He just lies down on the couch. I come in, I always give him a treat because he's been a good boy. So I go in the fridge and I didn't have any, like, cheddar. He likes his cheddar, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Oh, gives a bite in, Anna. So I comes in and goes in the fridge, there's no cheese. We just got them square ones, what you put on burgers. Kids, we grew up on them, didn't we, kids? I gets one out of the packet and gives it to him. He holds it in his mouth, like, looks at me, and just went, and spat it out all over the floor. You can't have nanas. I don't know if you can have nanas. Go and get your dad nana. I had one bite. Oh yeah, I'm going to go now. I'm going to take my pills. So 1 million people have said happy birthday to you. I just didn't read them out because you had your bins on, you had your lids on, didn't you?
Thank you for all the happy birthdays.
Yeah, he's 72 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you want on camera? Dare you? No! No, he's not. He's a wonderful 52, aren't you, babe?
Yeah.
We're 52 tomorrow. His mum was very, very poorly. Tomorrow she will come and say to him, I was very poorly 52 years ago, won't she, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does it every single year.
She sent me a message with it.
Yeah, she does. But I will be definitely back next week and we will definitely be having a live. Not sure what it's going to be about yet, but I'm sure it'll come up with something. But yeah, so I will be back with my naughty dog at some point next week. Oh, you're very heavy. Get off me leg. Get down. That's a good boy. Oh, garlic bread. Stop talking about food now. It's not fair. I'm not allowed in it. I'm not allowed to eat.
Bread?
What?
Garlic? Bread?
Finney's put garlic bread. So now I'm like, oh, I could eat that. Yeah, I'm not allowed anything after 8 o'clock. Yeah, so we won't even mention that now, no. Do you get more likes than me, right? Joe, a dog's allowed bananas. I'll have some in a second. I'll have to look it up on Google before I give him one. Yeah, I don't know. Eddie eats, if I have a tangerine, he eats half of it, doesn't he? Yeah. If you have a strawberry, he eats half of it. Everything I have, he eats half of, to be honest. You open a packet of custard for the kids, and he will literally stalk those children, doesn't he, Mark? Until they finish with the bowls, because he knows he gets the end of the bowl. He will literally sit there, nose to nose with our Layla while she's got custard and cake and a thing. Custard mad he is, that's why the fatty. Yeah. But I said it 3 times and I bet you're sick of me. You're just going in there, he's putting me pills in there, making me a brew, getting me all right. That's Mark's way of saying, right, lady. Yeah. All right, sweetheart, right. Say bye-bye. Good luck with the moosel, and I shall put some pictures on for people. Good night, everyone. Where's my button gone?